Do you suffer from stress, anxiety, or depression? Do you find it hard to focus or to contain your emotions? Any of these things can take you down. So, what then are your personal health practices? If you don't yet have an integral or holistic wellness practice, you're in the right place. Podcast host Susan Axelrod, the confidence coach, has been practicing holistic wellness for 25 years. Along the way, Qigong and Tai Chi found her. After tiptoeing in, she dove into a committed practice and became a teacher and integral wellness consultant. She'll tell you Qigong and Tai Chi changed her life. In this podcast, she interviews practitioners, inviting them to share their stories about how these practices changed their lives too. Go grab your journal. At the top of a clean page, write down, "I want to feel better." Then take a breath and tune in to see if Qigong and Tai Chi can help. Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of what I call this important podcast series. I created a series to highlight how Qigong and Tai Chi have changed the lives of regular people. Now, as it turns out, I have been able to interview amazing teachers as well, but teachers are also practitioners. I met most of these people through the Institute of Integral Qigong and Tai Chi, but I know other people who do Qigong as well. One of the things that's happened in these conversations that I've been having is special topics have sort of shown themselves to me because Qigong and Tai Chi are deeply, deeply powerful modalities. In my initial interview with Nadine Searle, the Calm Yourself coach and your cancer coach, it came up for me, and you'll hear it in that episode, which I'll tag for you in the notes, that Qigong can help you if you suffer in grief. I suffer in grief. I've had my own traumatic episode with loss, and grief does indeed visit me. I asked Nadine in that episode if she'd be willing to have a conversation on this particular topic because Nadine is also a grief coach. Hello, Nadine. Welcome to the show again. I so appreciate having you here.
Hello, Susan. I am so pleased that you've invited me back because, yeah, like you say, this another part of talking about what we were talking about initially is quite important, I think, isn't it? And grief is a big topic, isn't it?
So it's a big topic. It's quite important today, perhaps in every day in history. People suffer from grief, not just from the death of a loved one, but from the loss of various kinds of things, including perhaps a whole lifestyle. So, Nadine, I wanted to ask you to share with us a little bit for you on how Qigong has changed your life with grief.
Yeah, it's something when we look, and I'm sure the people that are watching and listening will look back at the previous episodes as well. It's something to use to find that stillness and peace within yourself. It's a beautiful, wonderful, quick and simple, I say that a lot, don't I, tool to use. But it really comes into its own when you are in grief, when you are going through bereavement, whatever you're doing. And like you say, and I just want to clarify as well that grief isn't just when someone dies, when we lose somebody. Grief can come at so many times, changes in your life, losses when you have something like, I mean, people know my cancer experience. I had a lot of grief, a lot of loss, a lot of things that changed. When things change, that's a loss. That sometimes we grieve. And I don't think we recognize it enough that actually grief is in our lives at so many times. When we change jobs, when we're children and we change schools, you know, we're going through change and loss. And that is grief, isn't it? What we feel sometimes. So recognizing that, I think, is quite important, that we go through it so many times. And I say quite a lot now within my work, especially as a cancer coach, when life throws you curveballs, because it does all the time, doesn't it? And that's not just personally, but it also is, as we know, the wider world picture. What is going on in our world? There's curveballs all over the place. So we are all going through grief, change, loss, adjustment. And that, I think, is a constant, isn't it? So learning how to manage grief and how it sits in your life, because whatever we say and do, it sits in our lives. It's there. We can't avoid it. Then tools that we can actually get good at, and they're there for us when we need them, are vital. And for me, Qigong has been there for me. It started in my life, it came into my life when I needed calmness and peace and a little bit of tranquility. But it is a tool now that I use for so many things. And actually, when grief visits and that feeling, I can actually get some peace and some comfort from, again, moving. As we've talked about, the moving, it sounds contradictory, but we get stillness in our mind when we move our body, and especially with a gentle, peaceful practice. But also when we move our body, we are moving emotions. And that, I feel, is where it really comes into its own. A lovely, gentle set. And I do a set, as you know, an 18 moves. I do a set. You don't have to, but just moving when you're stuck, especially in grief, when you're sad, when you're feeling you need some comforting, we hold ourselves tight, don't we? We're still and we're stuck. And if you move, and very, very gently and peacefully, and especially with something you're familiar with, that's why practice is there for you always. If you've built up a little practice, you can just dip into it. And then you're moving your emotions. And I think I mentioned it, I know I did, I don't know, don't need to think about it. I mentioned that the first time I actually practiced Qigong in a group, real life class situation, tears came up, emotion came up in me.
Yeah.
So when I feel that need to move those emotions, and when I feel grief and sadness and loss and fear and panic and anxiety, all those feelings that come and go with us all the time, then to actually sit with that in peace and stillness is good, but also to move those emotions is freeing, it's liberating, and it does really, really soothe. And that's what I feel that is one of the benefits, that you can soothe yourself with these gentle movements.
I mean, I feel emotion coming up now. We have discussed this a couple of times in all of our many podcast conversations. You did talk about it, and I talked about it. I can still feel in my first certification training program the spontaneous tears that came out of my eyes. I'm standing here in my office participating in this online certification program. I'm being taught how to do these moves or forms. And I remember spontaneous crying coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember even asking on the chat, and Dr. Oli Smith, one of our trainers, whom I've interviewed multiple times on this podcast series, said, yep. Basically, I really want to highlight this. I want to really invite people to tune in, because and I want to repeat what you said. Sometimes emotions get stuck in us.
Yeah.
Emotions get stuck in us. It's too hard to face, too difficult to deal with. And also, we have life going on.
Yes.
So emotions that we may be feeling may not be appropriate at some time or otherwise. It's too hard. It hurts too much. It's too much to deal with or to face. And so emotions can get stuck in us. The gentle, peaceful movement of which you speak about Qigong, they've seen us do it many times, the flowing hands, or you can picture it in your mind's eye, the gentle flowing movements of Qigong or Tai Chi gets your body moving. And then you just said, in an ironic twist, the movement actually can help you still your mind.
Yes.
It came up for me as you said that. I wrote down, some people don't want to hear their own quiet. They don't want to be in their own quiet. But then you said that the movement supports movement, that The movement of your physical supports the movement of your spiritual, your emotional, your feelings. And that is 100% true. And I can't think of anything more beautiful than doing these movements, the slow movements, and allowing the tears to come, Nadine.
Yes, yes. And this is the thing. And what you said there is so, I wanted to pick up on it because it's so important. We are uncomfortable with those feelings. So we don't let ourselves have tears sometimes. I used to be like that. I was ashamed of crying. I couldn't do it very well. I was frightened of my emotions. So I was good at stuffing them down all the time. And it is sometimes how we're brought up. It's how, like you say, there isn't time. It's not appropriate sometimes to cry all the time. But we do it's so beneficial. We need to give ourselves space and time where we can do that. So for me now, part of my practice, if I feel those emotions, if I may, because I still do sometimes push them away, not the right time, not the right place, but then I will give myself some time to, I do sit in stillness because I practice meditation and mindfulness as well. But the movement again is so powerful. So that again, and I have this wonderful relationship with my Qigong practice that I just go, this is my safe space. This is my lovely, I know it well. This is what I do. Everybody knows how much I love a bit of music too, how therapeutic I find that. So the music that I play while I'm doing the move, and I choose to do it that way. I do it sometimes outside and sometimes there's silence or it's just nature sounds that are around me. But when I choose to do this indoors, I have certain music. It just fills my heart. It, as I say, it soothes me, comforts me, it gives me what I need. And yes, the tears come, the emotions move, but that's sort of what I'm doing it for. That's what I want, and that is so therapeutic. It's so beneficial to just go through that process. Doesn't have to take long, as we've said before. We can do it quickly. My 18 moves that I do takes about 20 minutes. If I haven't got time for that, just like you say, the up and down movement with the hands, sometimes just moving a bit more, freeing, opening up that chest, really feeling that, letting everything move. Because our tendency, and I'm doing it now with the people that can't see, to go tight and hold on tight when we are in pain, when we are scared, and when we are sad, we want to change that, and
Well,
purposely changing that is so.
even when you did that, I could see in my mind's eye and feel when we, have that extreme impact, the death of someone, the loss, the sudden change, or the final stage of a long thing, you can feel the arms go around the middle, or
Yes,
your upper body, you hug yourself, your body crouches in, you rock
yes,
back and forth, you
yes,
sob. And for people who are listening, my arms are wrapped around my body, and the entire inner sanctum of my being, my organs, my heart, is all crunched in.
yes, yes,
The head goes down, you're sobbing, you're rocking back and forth from the grief, the loss, the impact of the emotionality, which maybe, as Nadine just said, you've been holding on to a long time. And so that's the brunt, the immediate brunt of an impact of grief. Maybe you got news that was difficult, and then you're in a little bit of shock and stunned, and eventually, finally, you just curl up, right? You just curl up on your bed and sob. The back against the wall, you're down, sitting and just, right. I mean, I really want to really say what is the truth. People, might be in fear of something, and there's grief in fear. And that immediate shock and that immediate release, I guess, is undoubtedly necessary.
yeah,
And in that moment, because Qigong is not just about body movement, but it's also about what we call mind focus. So I
yes,
immediately take my hands and put my fingers to the sides of my forehead, my temples. And so part of Qigong is where we have mind focus. we have breath awareness and body movement, and then the meditation that comes along with it, and massage, right? The self massage. All of these tools, as you learn about the different aspects of Qigong, can support you along the way. And the movement, that the way you said that is so important. I wrote down, you give yourself space and time to do the movement. You talked about, again, repeating, moving is freeing. It can be liberating your captured or stuck emotions from grief or fear. And then you said you have a relationship with your Qigong practice. And one of the things now, I haven't really talked about this, maybe a little bit in this entire podcast series, but regarding grief and self-support in your grief, I think we should talk about the practice that you just brought up, Nadine. When you received your cancer diagnosis, as you have spoken about publicly with me, we have episodes on that, and it came to you, and how did you, through in that grief and shock from the fear and unknown, how do you get yourself to do, how long did it take? When did you start bringing Qigong back in, or was it immediate? How did that go?
Really good question, actually. A bit of everything. What I did when I had my diagnosis, yes, I was in shock, denial, all of that. I've got to be honest with you, the Qigong practice went completely out of my mind. That didn't come in at all. I was protecting myself. I was hurt and I was scared and I was doing all that stuff. Focusing, I've got to get through, what am I doing? Panic, fear, chaos, all of that. So it wasn't there for me. It was there for me, but I wasn't using it. I was avoiding it. But I very quickly realized that I've got this. And this again is why I say, if you have a practice, it's almost like you can step into it so easily, can't you? You know, you can pick it up as something new when you need to, but if you've already got it as a practice, it's so easy. So I then did think, oh, that makes me feel good when I do that. You know, like you say, you're in your mind, you're conscious, you have a different frame of mind, I think. And that's what benefits me, is that I think, right, if I do this, I'm going to make myself feel a bit better. I had time then to step out of that fear and anxiety and panic, because I was doing my lovely practice and I was enjoying that moment. What happened is, when I went back to my world, this shock diagnosis, it came back, but I had that to use to actually take myself away from the fear and the panic and all that was going on. And it was familiar to me, as I say. So that again is that comfortable, lovely place. Again, moving those emotions, you know, I realized how fearful I was and how I was protecting myself in so many ways. The movement was again so powerful, because I was opening myself up, where my tendency with this diagnosis was to go, oh, I need to protect myself, but to open up. I don't know if you're familiar with the power pose. It's not a Qigong movement, but it's something, as a confidence coach, you probably do. It's something that you got as Wonder Woman pose, power pose, whatever people call it, where you literally open yourself up to give yourself that confidence, because you are showing how brave and courageous you are by physically opening up your body rather than protecting it. And that's just came to mind to me, because that again is, it's the movement to go, I'm going to open my body up, I'm going to move, I'm going to do what I need to do. And you said about massaging as well. The Qigong movements massage your organs. They move everything around. It's wonderful. It's very, very cleverly designed, isn't it? So you get that as well. So when after my diagnosis and how I used the Qigong in that way, once I was going through my treatment, again, so beneficial. I felt rotten when I was going through chemotherapy. Exercise, movement, we all know how good it is for us. Sitting still, lying down, feeling sorry for yourself isn't the best thing to do. But I couldn't do much. So actually, again, the gentle, simple movements of Qigong were there for me. So I could use them to actually get that daily movement going that was easy, and I could manage to do it however tired I felt. So it served me well there. And then for my rehabilitation, it served me so well. My recovery from 2 surgeries. Again, I couldn't move much after my surgery, but I needed to move this body area with my breast cancer surgery. So gently, slowly, I could use the Qigong moves to go, oh, here we go, I'm moving, I'm doing what I need to do, getting that flow going. I had lymphedema, so I needed to get the lymphatic system moving. Perfect way to do that.
Yeah.
So it served me along the way in so many different ways. So I'm very grateful that I had it there. So as we both are doing, we encourage everyone to sort of find a way. But it's that moving, like you say, moving emotions, doing what you need to do. I was going through a process, from diagnosis, all my treatment, onto recovery. Then that process is full of emotions, isn't it? So it helped me not just physically, but emotionally too, to just get things moving, get things going. So I can't say I did the 20 minutes all the time, but I dipped in and out of it. So yeah.
Yeah, you go into a Qigong state of mind,
Mm,
a Qigong state of mind, a Qigong state of being.
mm,
You had your cancer diagnosis, as you very well know. I lost my husband. It was very tragic and traumatic for me. And of course, grief is associated with that type of loss and that, death. And I happened to be in my certification program. So the shock or stun of it, uh, for me, I guess it was the breathing that supported me and keeping in mind, honestly, I remembered, because this is 2 years ago now, but I had a thing on my wall: mind focus, breath awareness, body movement, my visual cues of Qigong to support me. So, Nadine, would you be willing for me to lead us for a few minutes in Qigong right
mm.
now?
Yes.
We're going to have to close, but I feel like we've opened a conversation. You and I always keep it real. It's not easy. Here we are, sharing our deeply personal, deeply difficult stories. I do have emotion coming up in me. I can feel it.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining that, we're both sending out love and support to people who may be listening to this, who may have grief stuck in them, they've never acknowledged. They may be exhausted from grieving, and so on and so forth. So we're just going to take a minute now to sit our bodies up, just where you are, sit where you are, lift your upper back, bring your shoulders back and down, and take your own fingers and bring your shoulders down a little bit. You're going to lengthen your spine, lengthen your neck, and tuck your chin a little bit so it's not jutting out, to give that relief on your upper back. And we're going to take a long, slow, deep breath in through the nose and a long, extended exhale out through the nose. Here we go. I want to invite you to understand the power of the most simple body movement that I've learned is Qigong. We're going to take this long, slow, deep breath in through the nose again. And as we do, we're going to raise our hands up. And then as we have a long, extended exhale, we're going to lower our hands down. Sometimes I actually push them out to help my breath really extend, emit that carbon dioxide in you. And this is a combination of mind focus, breath awareness, and body movement. So here we go. Long, slow, deep breath in, hands up and out. We're going to do one more thing that I've learned has been a huge benefit for me. Self-massage is part of Qigong. So a lot of times we want to get into the parasympathetic, the rest, digest, and restore. But right now, in case you are feeling activated or overly activated, I want to invite you to take your fist and pound your arms a little bit. You can slap it with your hand. We want to wake up your body all the way up your arm, your shoulders, below your neck, area, even your neck area gently. And we're just pounding under the arm all the way back down to really wake up our systems. Can you feel that, Nadine?
I love it. Love doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And then we're going to pound across the top. You can even do a Tarzan pound across the top a little bit to activate and get your system awake, and then down the other side. Spend a little time at the shoulder area, the trapezoids, very gently, whatever works for you, because grief gets stuck in us. And then this is something that we can do to really get us unstuck a little bit. And now take your hands and just slap them together a little bit. And now just wipe it all off and shake it out a little bit. And one last closing breath, long, slow, deep breath in, long, extended exhale out. Here we go. And I like to end any Qigong I do with my thumbs on my heart in the prayer position, and really just thank my organs, my body, my partner today, Nadine, anybody who is living in Qi and really being part of the world of exuding good energy. So thank you, Nadine, for practicing with me today.
Thank you. That's beautiful. It does so powerful, isn't it? That movement is waking up everything.
Can you feel that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even there was a little cardio in that,
Yes.
that then I had to, when I was going to breathe again, I had to catch the little breath. There's cardio. Just, you don't have to run 5 miles. There's actually some cardio in that. I definitely invite people to practice this, and definitely go all the way down your body, down the front of your legs, up the back of your legs. Spend some time, just like you said, Nadine, massaging the organs in the front and the back. I have to tell you, when I first heard about massaging organs, I'm like, what is this? This is crazy. But boy, have I learned the impact. Nadine, our time is over again today. Please let people know where they can find you. Your work is stunningly powerful.
Oh, thank you so much. I will invite everyone to go to my YouTube channel, which is Karma Self Coach. We are on there a lot, me and you, Susan, aren't we? And we have some episodes specifically on grief, about Qigong and confidence and calm. So there's a lot there to look at. And if you want to know about my cancer coaching, then I have a bit on my website, which again is Karma Self. So that's what I'm stepping into now. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely, Nadine. Thank you so much for chatting today, for sharing deeply as we always do, and also for practicing Qigong with me. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.